Hi everyone. This is a bit of a break of convention in terms of what I normally do, but once again, I'm feeling very strongly that it's time to share some ideas that I've been receiving as I've been doing different readings and as I've been meditating. We all know that this is a really challenging time and that it's very, very easy to get caught up in the fear mongering that's out there. You know, fear sells papers and keeps people attached to videos and doom scrolling. And the reality is, there's so much out there now, you don't even have to be doom scrolling. You can just be looking at any piece of news or turn on YouTube and it's all there. But what seems to be coming through so very clearly is to remember that whatever is going on out there, this is a time of change for the planet. From the point of view of individuals and individual growth, try to accept the fact that you have chosen to be on the planet at this point in time. And that everything you do, everything you're going through is about growth of personal consciousness. So how do we deal with it when we're dealing with situations like we see going on in the world all around us? It looks chaotic, it's fear-inducing, it's shocking, it's all sorts of things that are causing all sorts of chemicals to run through our bodies. But even more importantly than that, what it's doing is all of these things are giving us an opportunity. And that is the opportunity to look deeply inside. There's so much chaos going on outside of us. In fact, the gift is that we are forced to go inward in order to be able to stabilize ourselves and not be overwhelmed by the outside. We don't have anything that looks really reliable on the outside. What I've been told is that this is a period of catalyst. This is a catalyst time. And that many of the things that are being exposed, many of the values that are quite shockingly blatant all over the world, needed to come to the surface because they've always been there and they've always been operating. It's simply that they were not as obvious. And what we have now is, because of public media, because of incompetence, because of a whole bunch of different things, we're seeing it. What it's causing us to do is really literally look into our hearts and see what is it we stand for. The reality of seeing it so disturbing and contrary to the essence of life and goodness and contrary to source is that it is making us understand what it is we genuinely are aligned with, because it is so discordant with the deepest part of ourselves. Those of us who are doing this work, or even those of us who've been on the edge of doing this work, it's causing us to really go to our center and understand what the nature of life is and is meant to be lived on the earth plane. We also are being guided to really be aware of the fact and remember the fact that emotion is energy. And where we place our attention is where our emotion is going to build more energy. When we start looking at the things that are frightening, disgusting, offensive, not in alignment with our higher conscious selves and with source, it is very, very easy to go into that frequency because it's so big and it's so loud now and it's so everywhere. But what we're being asked to do is do your best not to focus on the outside and move inward and spend energy and time and focus on the high heart, on the truth, on the wisdom, on the sacred, on the holy, in whatever language that is for you and in whatever template you use. because that is the energy we want to amplify. Now, they have said this to me before, and I'm sure I've probably spoken about this in some of the videos, but it really is the sense, it is the reality that every single one of us is a source of energy, and we are connected through a unified field. There is a group conscious mind. Do we want to create in that matrix more fear? Do we want to put out more hatred against the things that are not in alignment with our heart? Because if we do, then what we're doing is we are going into that frequency, and that is what we put into the grid. That's what we put into the group mind consciousness. We don't want to do that. Our jobs now, I truly believe, I am being told and feel in every fiber of my being, our jobs now are to not let that energy take us down into them, because that would suit their purpose. What we are being asked to do by the dimensions, the higher beings that are here, and communicating more directly, perhaps from Source, is that we're being asked to remember, if it becomes too much and we feel overwhelmed with it and we want to start going into anger and hatred and all of those things, can we turn it around for a moment and say two things? Is there anything I can do about it practically in the real world? And can I do it with a good heart, maintaining my energy in a high frequency? If the answer is yes, great, do it. If the answer is no, that's fine too. That's not where you're at. Can you, however, step back and allow yourself to move into the understanding of the fact that everything here is about growth. Every single one of us has a soul, whether we know it or not, whether it seems evident or not. Can we choose to focus on the higher energy and let that be the thing that we radiate and radiate more of? In energetic medicine and theory, we look at the fact that there is something called entrainment. The more predominant frequency is what is going to pull others into that frequency. So what we want, those of us who want to work from Source, aligned with our high hearts and our higher conscious minds, evolving towards peace and harmony and cooperation and humaneness and a spiritual, sacred experience of living in our bodies on this earth in humanity. What we want to do is we want to send more of that vibe into the group consciousness. However you do it, from whatever template. Not through fear, not through sadness, but through the understanding that this is our opportunity to align more with that sacred source. And that maybe that's what this is all about, is because we need to have a reset on the earth plane. This is something that I heard recently in a reading, and that was that things had evolved to such a point that the systems that worked when the world was not overpopulated and not overpolluted, the world could tolerate it. But now that we've gotten to a point where the earth is, the population is vast, there are major discrepancies in economics, there's great disturbance and violation of the natural environment for the sake of money and making more money. It is creating pollution, and it is creating more of a split, more of an us and them, and more of a polarization between rich and poor, free and not free. That these things can no longer be tolerated because the rich have too much power and have the ability to use their power and their money to create more without conscience for the environment or without conscientiousness towards the other humans on the planet. This had to come to a breaking point. The pandemic started it. It began the reset. It began the process of people reevaluating how they worked, how they made money, what was important, what relationships were working, what weren't. It was a time of introspection for many, many people. And it started to change things. And it wasn't enough. This is the next step in that. So, however clear this sounds when I play it back, I'm just going to post it now for the way it is. And what I would like to say to you is, Spirit is very much with you. You are going to have whatever you need when you set your intention to be a beacon of light. And when you remember what the purpose is. The purpose is not to deny what's going on and pretend that it's not going on. It's to let it be a reminder to you of where you really want to be living from in yourself. And to not, as my mother would say, get dragged down into the mud with them. I'm going to leave that now. I felt very much like I needed to say this. I couldn't seem to proceed with doing another reading until I spoke this. So I will post it. I hope it's of help to you. And I hope it makes sense. So there you go, my friends. And I say my friends because I realize that without actually intending to, I have found a community of like-minded people. People who are listening to these things in order to love themselves better and understand life in a different way, to find their freedom and to find their inner peace and harmony. And it's a beautiful thing that there are so many people out there that I am now knowing in some way or another, even if it's just through reading your comments, that there are people who value life as I do, and growth and understanding and beauty. And it is my great pleasure to know you and to speak with you and to speak to you. And I'm just going to leave it with that and say good night and thank you so much for listening, for subscribing, for commenting, and for just being here and being available. Thank you so very much. And I wish you a sacred night, a sacred day, a sacred life. Take care.